At this point in time, "Help, I'm stuck in a video game and I can't get out," is no longer exactly a novel premise for a story. It's been done quite a few times before with varying degrees of success, and the concept has been pretty well explored. Is that a reason for new stories that come out with this premise to be simply dismissed as clones of the older ones? Certainly not. Today, a review of the light novel Log Horizon, one of the more recent stories in the stuck in a video game fantasy genre. Log Horizon starts when everyone logged into the fantasy MMO Elder Tales ends up getting sucked into the game for unexplained reasons. The way to escape the game is also unclear if it is even possible, and if you die you just revive back in town. As a result, instead of getting some crazy life and death battle to escape the story, it's more about players adapting to their new life in a new world. The world of Elder Tales has a history that you'd expect from a high fantasy book written in the 80s. It's set on a future Earth. There was an apocalypse, the world was rebuilt, and hey, we're back to medieval age technology, except now with 100% more magic. The players find that when they get sucked into the game, all the NPCs are now human and have a city-state political system, and act like they're all from Renaissance Europe. Add this to the fact that the players sucked into the game essentially have the power of superheroes relative to the NPCs, because, video game characters power greater than NPCs, and this leads to some rather interesting dynamics between the two groups. The nominal protagonist of this story is Shiro, a graduate student and veteran of Elder Tales. I say nominal protagonist because this story has a lot of important characters, and the author has no qualms switching to narration from another character's perspective, and having story arcs which Shiro is completely absent from. He wins the title of main character simply by being the first character introduced, and by being present the most often. Anyways, Shiro is the story's resident mastermind, except without all the egotism and psychoticism that you see in most protagonist masterminds. Instead, he's reserved and kind, making him a rather unique character. Another prominent character is Naotsugu, a good friend of Shiro's, who acts as something of a foil to Shiro's character. He's got a straightforward, happy-go-lucky personality, and often acts perverted as the comic relief of the series. That being said, he's intelligent enough and can be serious when he needs to be. Next we have Akatsuki, a female chibi assassin who takes her role of playing a shinobi very seriously and treats Shiro as her lord. She starts out the series being incredibly shy, but begins to come out of her shell a bit later in the series. Now, there's a whole raft of other characters who play incredibly significant roles, but if I were to talk about all of them, I would probably triple the length of this review. As it is, though, I would say that most of the characters are quite original and get lots of development. Also, if you like romance, this is a great series for you. There's 4 separate romances that get a lot of time devoted to them, as well as several more minor ones that get less time but are still canon. A large portion of this story is focused on economics and politics, and as such, battles of wit, words, and even battles with paperwork are just as common as battles with monsters. Somehow, though, the author manages to make the battles of quill just as interesting as the battles of sword, and I can honestly say I've never found political maneuvering quite so enthralling. This story explores basic human nature, the principles of governance, and it raises quite a number of interesting ethical questions. If you want, you can think quite a bit about it, but the great thing is, you don't have to at all to enjoy the story. The author has masterfully created the world of Log Horizon. Normally I view setting to be secondary in importance to characters and plot, but for Log Horizon, the author has done a brilliant job bringing the world alive and drawing you into it. The world has a number of mysteries to it that gradually unravel as the story progresses, and trying to figure out its true nature greatly adds to the suspense of the main plot. Ever read Shakespeare in English class and get bored to tears by the never-ending soliloquies? Well, Log Horizon has enough long internal monologues to put Shakespeare's greatest works to shame. While they help developing the characters, they really break the flow of the story, and the ones at the beginning of the story before anything has happened are boring as hell. I like to hear the thoughts of the characters, but it really wouldn't hurt for those thoughts to be succinct. Generally, the story can also be quite dry and could probably use a bit more humor. Unfortunately, a number of the moments that are supposed to be humorous feel completely out of place and fall flat on their face. Nothing is quite as painful as watching an author try to be funny and failing horribly. Despite some claims that Log Horizon is a clone of a certain other story about characters stuck in a video game, I would still contend that it is one of the more original stories I've read, and really, any resemblance to that other certain story is nothing more than superficial. It focuses on developing character relations and plotting rather than pounding, making it a rather refreshing addition to this genre. For my personal enjoyment, I give Log Horizon a 9 out of 10, and for its overall quality of writing, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. In terms of alternate recommendations, if you've already read Log Horizon, I can't really think of something that twigs as being very similar, but the author of Log Horizon has written another light novel called Mao Yu Mao Yusha, or Arch Enemy and the Hero, which is probably worth checking out. Anyways, thanks for listening. If you liked this video, please subscribe and all comments are welcome. Cheers!